Welcome to the Deep Dive. We pull out the key insights from the latest thinking and research. Today, we're digging into a story that starts with a pretty shocking image, really. Think about this. Over the last 40 years, Brazil has lost an area larger than California to deforestation.
It's an almost unbelievable statistic, isn't it?
It really is, and here's the kicker, over 90% of that clearing, illegal. It feeds this massive global environmental crime economy. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's a truly staggering problem. And when you dig into it, you see just how systemic it is. It's not just small-scale illegal logging.
Right. It feels almost too big to tackle.
It does. The consequences are severe, not just for Brazil, but for the planet.
Definitely paints a grim picture. But, okay, here's where this deep dive gets really interesting. What if you could take that massive challenge, that level of destruction, and actually flip it?
Look at how.
Well, what if you could turn it into like an unprecedented opportunity? What if a country could figure out how to actually profit from protecting its nature, not destroying it?
Now, that is a radical shift in thinking, moving beyond just damage control to actually building something positive and sustainable.
Exactly. And that's really our mission for this deep dive. We're looking at how Brazil, facing this huge environmental crime wave, is trying to pioneer an economic model that literally makes standing forests worth more than cleared land.
It's a bold ambition.
It is. We're exploring insights from civic entrepreneur Ilona Sabo de Carvalho, who talks about Brazil forging a path to become a, quote, nature superpower.
A nature superpower. I like the sound of that.
Right. So we'll unpack their big restoration goals, some really cool mapping techniques they're using, and these pretty revolutionary financial ideas that could reshape Brazil's relationship with nature and maybe offer a blueprint for the rest of us.
So how one country is trying to leverage its natural wealth for regeneration, not just extraction.
That's the core idea. Let's get into this vision.
Okay, but first, to really get why this is so important, we have to face that stark reality you mentioned. That area bigger than California, gone in 40 years. And crucially, over 90% of it illegal.
It's hard to even visualize that scale of loss. Biodiversity, ecosystems, climate regulation.
And it's vital to understand this isn't happening in a vacuum. This illegal deforestation, it's tangled up with so many other illicit things.
Like what specifically?
Well, you've got widespread land grabbing, sophisticated wildlife trafficking rings, illegal gold mining, which is incredibly destructive, and also kind of dodgy agricultural and ranching practices pushing into the forest.
So it's a whole criminal ecosystem.
Pretty much. This whole environmental crime complex, it's estimated to generate something like $280 billion a year in illicit profits globally. That's enormous.
Wow. And the consequences for the planet are huge, right? Especially for the Amazon.
Absolutely critical. This level of destruction is pushing the Amazon's ability to store carbon dangerously close to a tipping point. A point of no return, scientists call it.
Meaning it could stop absorbing CO2.
Worse, it could flip and become a net source of carbon, releasing it instead of storing it. That would be catastrophic for global climate stability, food production, water security. I mean, the ripple effects would hit everyone.
That's incredibly alarming. And facing that, plus the sheer size you mentioned, the Amazon basin is bigger than the entire EU. How do you even start to fight it?
Well, that's the thing. You quickly realize you probably can't just police your way out of this problem, as Ilona Sabo de Carvalho puts it. Enforcement is vital. Yes, you need better law enforcement, better governance, no question.
But it's just too vast.
Exactly. You can't patrol every square mile.
Yeah.
So if just policing isn't enough, what's the alternative?
And that's where this nature superpower idea comes in.
Precisely. It's a vision that goes way beyond just, say, investing in solar panels or wind farms. It's about fundamentally changing the whole relationship with nature.
Oh, so?
It's about recognizing that nature isn't just scenery, it's the bedrock of our economy.
Yeah.
Think about it. Over half of global GDP relies directly on services nature provides for free.
Like clean air, clean water, stable climate, fertile soil. The basics we take for granted.
Exactly. These aren't nice-to-haves. They're fundamental economic inputs. And Brazil, well, it's uniquely positioned here, isn't it?
It really is. The world's biggest tropical forest, massive river systems, biodiversity that's just off the charts, plants, animals, microbes.
Unparalleled natural capital.
No.
So the core idea, the real game changer, is this urgent need to make standing forests more valuable than cleared land.
Economically valuable, you mean?
Yes, economically. It demands a whole new model that uses all this natural capital forests, water, soil, minerals managed responsibly, clean air, to build economies that regenerate nature, not destroy it.
And this isn't just theory.
No, it's starting to happen. You see initiatives like the Green Bridge facility emerging, so that's a new platform trying to bring in serious private investment for these kinds of nature-positive projects. It's happening at the frontier.
Okay, that's the shift from problem to potential solution. So how do you actually build this nature superpower economy? What are the steps?
Well, the first big step, according to the thinking we're looking at, is embedding nature right into the core of national identity and policy.
So a cultural shift as well as a political one?
Yes, Brazilians embracing their incredible ecosystems and then making sure nature is central to national plans, regional collaborations, and even global commitments.
What does that look like practically?
Well, take the Ecological Transformation Plan announced in 2023. It's not just a policy paper. It's framed as an investment platform,
Okay.
meaning its whole purpose is to channel public and private money into building this nature-based economy, weaving green thinking into everything from infrastructure to farming.
And regionally?
Brazil's working closely with its 8 neighbors who share the Amazon basin. They recognize you need to scale up conservation and sustainable development across the whole region. It can't just be one country.
Makes sense. And globally?
They're actively pushing these nature-positive ideas in big international forums, the G20, BRICS, the UN Climate, and Nature Talks, trying to lead by example, essentially.
Okay, so step one is making nature central to policy. What's next?
Step 2 is building an inclusive and innovative bioeconomy. This means developing completely new supply chains based on that incredible biodiversity.
So using forest products sustainably.
Exactly. Everything from food ingredients to compounds for cosmetics, natural fibers for textiles. But crucially, the approach Brazil is taking is rooted in indigenous and local knowledge.
Ah, that's interesting. Why is that so important?
Because these communities have centuries of experience living with and managing the forest sustainably. Their knowledge is invaluable for finding new products, managing resources, and ensuring benefits flow back locally. It's about partnership, not just extraction.
And it sounds like big players are getting involved too, development banks.
Yeah, multilateral and national development banks are collaborating to really accelerate these bioeconomy value chains, trying to create green jobs and tangible economic benefits.
Are there examples of this working already?
Oh, definitely. Look at Natra. They're a big global cosmetics company, a real pioneer.
What do they do?
They sustainably harvest ingredients from the Amazon, like unique nuts, fruits, oils for skincare and perfumes. But they do it in partnership with traditional communities, empowering them economically.
Okay.
And get this, Natra recently partnered with a forest intelligence company called Biodiverse. Together, they did the largest forest inventory ever in Brazil.
The largest ever. How long did that take?
Normally, it would take about 25 years. They did it in 6 months.
6 months? How is that even possible?
Technology. A really smart combination of satellites, drones flying below the canopy, and AI crunching all the data.
Wow.
It allowed them to identify specific species, check their health, figure out the best sustainable harvesting spots with incredible speed and accuracy.
So better data leads to?
Better product identification, more sustainable harvesting, and importantly, higher yields and more income for the local harvesters. It connects conservation directly to better livelihoods.
That's a powerful connection.
And it's part of a growing trend. You have entrepreneurs and philanthropic groups like the Arapio Institute connecting these harvesters to responsible buyers like Grupo Trigo for restaurants or Dengo for high-quality chocolate. It's building that whole ecosystem.
That really shows how standing forests can generate real value. Okay, so policy shift, bioeconomy. What's the third pillar?
The third building block is creating a whole new economic sector focused purely on nature restoration.
Restoration as an industry.
Exactly. Brazil has these huge goals, zero deforestation by 2030 and restoring 12 million hectares, that's an area roughly the size of England, as part of its climate commitments under the Paris Agreement. They're calling it a natural industrial policy.
Natural industrial policy.
Right.
What does that signal?
It signals that restoration isn't just an environmental cost, it's an economic opportunity, a massive one. Restoring that 12 million hectares, estimates suggest it could generate around $140 billion in value and create up to 2.5 million jobs.
What kinds of jobs?
Everything from growing seedlings and planting to managing agroforestry systems, processing sustainable forest products, monitoring ecosystem health, ecological engineering. It's a whole new green workforce.
And how are they jumpstarting this?
Through things like public-private partnerships. They're setting up large forest concessions where private companies come in to protect, restore, and sustainably manage these public lands, bringing investment and expertise.
Are there companies already doing this?
Yes, you're seeing Brazilian restoration startups emerge, like Redot Green and Belterra. They're scaling up projects focused on capturing carbon, generating high-quality carbon credits, but using smart methods.
What kind of methods?
They're using ecological restoration principles and also agroforestry models.
Agroforestry, can you explain that a bit?
Sure. Instead of just planting monoculture tree farms, agroforestry intentionally integrates trees and shrubs with crops or livestock on the same land. Think coffee or cocoa grown under the shade of native trees.
Okay. More diverse.
Much more diverse. It captures more carbon, it's better for soil health, boosts biodiversity, provides shade, prevents erosion, and it gives farmers multiple income streams. It's a win-win-win.
So it's building resilience too.
Exactly. The ultimate goal here is to build an economic sector around restoration that's actually better for people, potentially cheaper in the long run, and definitely more scalable than purely technological carbon capture solutions. It's holistic.
That makes sense. Restoration as an engine for growth. Which leads, I guess, to the money side. How do you fund all this?
Right. That's the fourth crucial step, making nature itself a high-integrity asset class.
An asset class, like stocks or bonds.
Sort of, yeah. Brazil is really pushing the boundaries on innovative nature finance to unlock the money needed. Carbon credits are part of it, sure, but they're looking well beyond that.
Like what?
Well, they're exploring things like biodiversity units or credits. The idea is you could get paid for proving you're protecting a rare species or a particularly valuable habitat.
So monetizing biodiversity itself.
Potentially, yes. And payments for ecosystem services. A classic example is the city paying farmers upstream to manage their land sustainably to protect the city's drinking water supply.
Paying for the service the ecosystem provides.
Exactly. And then there are things like sustainability-linked bonds. These are really interesting.
How do they work?
The interest rate the borrower pays on the bond is tied to whether they meet specific, measurable environmental targets. So if they hit their conservation goals, maybe their interest rate goes down. It creates a direct financial incentive for good performance.
These sound like powerful tools to channel finance.
They really could be, turning environmental protection from just a cost center into something that can generate real investable revenue streams.
And speaking of finance, there was one really ambitious example mentioned, this Tropical Forest Forever facility, or TFFF. What's that about?
Ah, yes, the TFF.
Oh?
That's a really bold, quite fascinating idea. It's envisioned as a massive new fund, like $125 billion, specifically for long-term tropical forest conservation globally.
$125 billion. Wow, how would it work?
The core idea is pretty radical. The TFFF would make direct payments to tropical forest countries and, critically, also directly reward the indigenous communities and other local groups on the front lines.
Payments for what?
For every single hectare of forest they verifiably keep standing or successfully restore.
So a direct results-based payment for conservation.
Exactly. It flips the incentive structure. Instead of just funding projects, you're paying directly for the outcome, healthy, standing forests. It treats the forest as a valuable asset, generating ongoing revenue for its guardians. The aim is to create a kind of perpetual endowment for conservation.
That sounds potentially game-changing, but I mean, setting up a $125 billion global fund like that, what are the hurdles? It sounds complex.
Oh, incredibly complex. You're right. The challenges are huge. First, just raising that kind of capital requires massive buy-in from governments, big financial institutions, maybe philanthropic giants, sovereign wealth funds.
Yeah, a huge coalition.
Absolutely. Then there's the whole governance piece. How do you ensure the money flows transparently and fairly, especially getting it down to those local communities on the ground? Preventing corruption is critical.
And verifying the results, I guess, that the forest is actually standing or restored.
Exactly. You need incredibly robust monitoring, reporting, and verification systems, probably using those same advanced satellite and AI technologies we talked about earlier.
Right.
And finally, it needs long-term commitment. Conservation isn't a 5-year project. This needs to be designed to last for decades through political cycles and economic shifts.
So huge potential, but also significant challenges in execution.
Definitely. But the fact that ideas like this are being seriously developed shows the level of ambition.
It really does. So pulling it all together, becoming this nature superpower, clearly isn't just wishful thinking. It takes, well, everything we've discussed. Determined leadership, real strategic investment in that bioeconomy.
Making restoration a core industrial policy, not just an afterthought.
And then finding these innovative, trustworthy ways to finance it all.
And the thread tying it all together, the fundamental shift, is this recognition that forests, that nature, are simply worth more alive than dead, not just ecologically, but economically too.
That really is the core message. If Brazil can actually pull this off, if they can build these economic models that genuinely value nature.
It really could provide a powerful, practical blueprint for so many other countries facing similar pressures. It shows that actually you can link environmental health with economic prosperity. They aren't opposing forces.
In fact, they might be interdependent. A shift from extraction to regeneration.
That could be one of the most vital shifts we make this century.
So as you've been listening to this deep dive, maybe think about this. What's the standing forest in your own world? It might not be literal trees, but what's an undervalued natural asset or maybe a regenerative opportunity in your region, your industry, your community?
Yeah. How could where you live or where you work benefit from an economy that's rooted more in regeneration rather than just consumption or extraction?
Something definitely worth thinking about. That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.